Welcome to episode 73 of Fascinating, a Star Trek podcast. The Lights of Zetar.
In this week's episode, a young lieutenant is forced to deal with Scotty's overwhelming attention, along with an alien possession, as the Enterprise encounters an inexplicable phenomenon. With the crew of Memory Alpha dead, can Kirk save the ship and his crewmen? Or will Scotty's latest obsession be lost forever?
Captain Kirk to Mr. Scott.
Scott here, sir.
Mr. Scott, how's Lieutenant Romaine?
Beautiful, Captain.
Good evening, Ian.
Good evening, Gerry. How are you?
Beautiful.
I'm not going to say as ever or anything like that.
Well, Ian, I know what the thoughts there. That's all that counts.
Everyone at home was thinking it.
What is not beautiful, however, is Scotty's behaviour. Again.
Creepy so-and-so. Creepy.
He is. He's a wrong'un.
Absolutely wrong. He shouldn't be allowed near women.
Said it before, he apparently is regarded as a lovable character. For me, he is either inconsequential, isn't in the show at all, and when he has a prominent role in the two episodes thus far, he has been a diabolical character. Let's not mess about here. In his previous sort of starring role, he was a ripper.
Yeah, he got away with it. But he was, yeah.
He was slaughtering women because he hated the women.
Yes.
I can just imagine Kirk having to go back down to, or back to the Federation and say, listen, Scotty, it was the ghost stuff that the Ripper, it wasn't one of my guys, and the Federation looking at him unbelievingly, but they don't want to be embarrassed, they don't want the bad press.
Sure.
So they say, Kirk, is that your official answer? Is that what you're declaring here? Yeah. Now listen, Kirk, we can do this only once. The Ripper, you say, it was a ghost attack, the Ripper was doing it, not Scotty. Yep, that is your final word. Yeah, okay. Don't let it happen again. You need to vouch for him. That's the thing. We're only putting this Ripper nonsense once. Next time, your head will be on the block as well.
I think that's fair. That's probably exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm. It won't happen again, guys. It will not make sure it doesn't. We can only use this nonsense once. I won't believe Ghost of Ripper in the future. We can't. So yeah, and this time he just he's so needy, so clingy.
Yeah.
And I suppose we will discuss, and we can discuss in a little bit more detail his abuse of power.
Sure, we'll do that.
Position.
In terms of the public perception, I think not just for Scotty, but for pretty much all the characters, the public perception is shaped a lot more by the movies than by the series.
You think? No, I haven't seen the movies, any of the original ones.
We'll get to it. But
will we? Okay.
Well, maybe.
Is that okay?
Some people want us to. I imagine the movies have a far wider viewership than the series as well, because it's a lot more demanding to watch 79 hour-long TV shows than it is to watch 6 feature films. For sure, and like most viewers, I'd imagine, who are casual viewers, they would have dipped in and out. Yeah, so they'll have a couple of episodes worth of the series, but they'll have watched all of the movies, and their impression of the characters, I think, will come more from those.
Sure, makes sense. Okay, let's do the socials this week, so we can cut and run at the end. Okay,
social media, if it's working this week, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're at Trek Podcast on all of those platforms. Our YouTube channel has all of the episodes so far, and this one will join it, no doubt. And if you want to go to our website where the episodes go up every week, and there's a separate post for each one where you can add your comments, that's at astartrekpodcast.com.
That's it?
Yeah, let's
Anything
get
else?
No, there's nothing else. Let's just get into that. It's an okay episode, isn't it? We'll get into it.
Let's crack on.
Back to the log.
5725.3.
It's a little bit of a info dump.
Certainly is. Where are they heading? What are they doing?
They're heading to Memory Alpha, the well-known website.
So this is my first introduction to Memory Alpha.
Yeah, this is where the name for the website comes from. It's the Federation's central library of all knowledge, which has information from all the different cultures of the Federation. Mm-hmm. They're taking a specialist lieutenant who's on board to transfer newly designed equipment from the Enterprise to that facility.
What's her name?
Mira Romaine.
We head to engineering to begin with. An unusual start.
Yeah, my notes say, Scotty is taking advantage of his position of authority to force himself on a naive young lieutenant who's clearly not in a position to consent or otherwise, given he could end her career with one report.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Ian. My first note is we start with a wronging Scotty creeping up on her as she works. We've got a voiceover from Kirk via a new overhead shot.
You say new, it's an old overhead shot. We'll get to that in the trivia.
Is it? I don't recognise it.
It's not been used before, but it was filmed for season 1.
It was quite nice.
Well, yeah, but you'll see there's different people in the overhead shot than there is when they come. Anyway, yes, so in this voiceover, Kirk tries to make Scotty sound romantic, given that he's his friend, but he actually ends up making it sound even creepier.
He makes him sound like a potential serial killer.
Yeah, and we know he is from his past behaviour. He's possessive, he's violent, he's vindictive.
He's on top. Yeah, he is possessive, isn't he? That's the thing, he's so needy. And as you mentioned with your first note, I think that, and as I alluded to a few moments ago, I think that's the position, that's the problem, isn't it? That he is in a position of seniority.
Yes. And
he should not be, even a relationship that seems consensual, it's just inappropriate, because you don't know if the other party feels obliged to or pressurised into not saying no.
Yeah, because the effect on her career could be significant if she gets we hear later on she's concerned about getting bad reports.
Yeah. And not just that, we see it in a number of occasions during the episode, the reason why relationships are not encouraged, because rather than doing his duty, doing the work that he's paid for, he's more interested in being with her in sick bay. It's like, you're on board, you're working here, forget the relationships, that should just be the rule. No relationships. Exactly. Do what you like in your own time when you're off the ship, but...
Well, they don't have time off the ship, they live there.
Yeah, but she's only brought on as a specialist for this mission.
For her, yeah.
So wait a second, she's brought in for this mission, and they've established a relationship straight away.
Exactly, it's a very immediate thing, isn't it? Already she essentially belongs to him as far as he's concerned.
So she's falling for this brown-stained, toothed older man with
is she?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
There's not any evidence she's fallen for him.
No, I mean, it's the type of thing that had he lots of money, you would say, oh, okay. There's no reason for him. It's not like she's a specialist. It's not as if maybe she's in awe of his mental character abilities, aptitudes. It's like, oh, he really respects him. He's just, the engineer there who makes mistakes a lot of time and says, I can't get things done. She's the specialist, so it's not an intellectual attraction, I wouldn't have thought. It's not financial.
Well, even if it was meant to be an intellectual connection, there's not been an opportunity for there to be any display of that.
No. She's just to work beside him, and we're apparently meant to believe that he's not even got the personality. He's not known to, when you watch him and he's not, you don't watch him and go, oh, that's the type of character that a younger woman would definitely fall for. He's so suave and he's always making a little joke. He's just not got that type of...
He's not Kirk anyway.
I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but he's certainly not Kirk, yeah. You can't imagine what she sees in him. So this
is where there's a concern. So even if it's, from her point of view, she's thinking, oh, if I get in with the senior engineer, that's going to help me out. I'll be protected in a way, or I'll be advanced.
Yeah.
She's not thinking that, because she's on the ship for a week or two or whatever it is. She's not going to be positively affected in her career by getting involved with Scotty, but she could be negatively affected.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think he's got any power to advance her career, but maybe he can halt the progress of it if he was vindictive enough. And I think that maybe the word spread as well about Scotty. We know that he seems like the type of character who would be quite vindictive if he thought that there was...
Yeah, it would be completely unsurprising to find ex-girlfriends of Scotty who are stuck at ensign or lieutenant grade because he's put a bad report on their file.
Yeah.
I would be thoroughly unsurprised to learn that.
I agree.
Anyhow, we go onto the bridge where Chekhov and Sulu are discussing Romaine within her earshot as she tries to work, with Scotty hanging over her shoulder at the back of the bridge.
Yeah, I think they're making fun of him as Kirk has to interrupt Scotty and Mira to give instructions about what they need to do when they reach orbit.
He struggles to get Scotty's attention.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, it's just not...
Unprofessional behaviour.
Yeah, even if it's accepted and allowed on the Enterprise, it should be consigned to rec time, downtime.
Yeah, off-duty time, yes. Yeah. In any event, Kirk congratulates Lieutenant Romaine ahead of her first Federation assignment.
Is it Kirk or is it Spock?
I thought it was Kirk.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter.
I'm sure they both think the same, yeah. I think it's Spock then, Kirk, which makes Scotty beam with pride.
Why is he proud? He's not contributed to her career at all.
Not exactly.
Oh, she's doing good, and I like her.
She's my bird, she's doing, yeah.
Sulu kind of spoils the party at this point by reporting a high-intensity reading coming from Scotty.
Yeah.
We see brightly coloured lights on the view screen, and another engineer literally has to physically pull Scotty away from Mira to do his work.
Yeah. Spock IDs this as a storm unlike anything he has seen before. Sulu says it's approaching at warp 2.6. We don't normally get increments of warp, do we?
Sometimes you do.
Okay. And it's getting faster.
Kirk at some point has ordered magnification 8. Now, what I want to know is this maximum magnification? What's the scale of magnification?
I've guessed 10.
So why has he only gone to 8?
Yeah, you don't give yourself, if this doesn't work, you want to be able to step it up a little bit.
It didn't really make it that much bigger.
Nah.
Anyway, yes, Spock has to recheck and confirm that this is the speed this phenomenon is travelling at, because no naturally occurring phenomenon can exceed the speed of light in Kirk's view.
Mira seems very intrigued by it and steps towards the viewing screen as it gets closer and deflectors are raised.
Yes, yellow alert is called, and everyone but Mira covers their eyes as the bright lights shine on the screen and then are reflected in her own pupil.
Mm-hmm. Everyone on the bridge is, I think perhaps maybe Spock not so much, but they're all adversely affected by this.
They are.
Kirk, I think he reaches for his throat as if he's been choked, as if he can't breathe.
Yes, and then we quickly get the credits, and then they come back and do the same thing again.
Yeah,
I think they maybe reused the exact footage.
Potentially, yeah.
Of Kirk reaching to
Well,
his throat.
that happened quite a lot in TV shows where you would...
A slight recap.
Yeah. During or after the credits, we have a nice external shot of the Enterprise in the middle of these lights. Again, I'm imagining that's a remastered.
Yeah, I think so. Kirk can't make himself heard, but then these sparkles withdraw and he's able to speak again.
Yeah. Mira, she collapses to the floor.
Yes, and Scotty calls for help, which gets Kirk to summon McCoy as Mira makes a weird gargling noise.
And Sulu is told to get them out of there, sharpish.
McCoy shows up really quickly.
Yes.
I don't know if there's meant to be a time lapse. I don't think there is.
No.
He must have been standing in the lift.
Waiting. And an obviously anxious Scotty runs over to hold her. She stares wide-eyed with a weird, indistinguishable noise coming from her.
Yeah, the gargling. So when McCoy does show up, he asks if she fell or if she was hurt before she fell or what happened. And Kirk says he didn't notice. And Scotty says after the disturbance, she just collapsed. She
eventually comes round and claims to be fine and says that she doesn't need to go to sickbay. But Kirk snaps an order to do so at her and she leaves with McCoy. But Scotty, he's told to remain at his post.
He really wants to go with her, even though he's working.
He's an embarrassment.
Yeah, absolutely. He's told to resume his post and he looks a bit sheepish as he does.
Yeah. Uhura informs Kirk that all systems are working while Spock says that some of his sensors were down, but there has been no damage to the warp engines.
Uhura then reports that Memory Alpha hailed them during the event, but she couldn't respond. And Chekhov says, no, the effects were different. His eyes were affected. He couldn't look down, and Sulu says, it's not that. He couldn't speak. I don't understand why they're all contradicting one another. Why can it not be all these things? Why do they have to say, no, it's not that?
Yeah, you wouldn't...
Rather than it affected me differently.
Yeah. I think they're just... Obviously, it's not the best of writing. They're trying to make this point that it did affect them differently. Yeah. Spock is asked for an explanation, but all he offers is that in each case, a different area of the brain was affected. Their nerve functions were attacked.
Kirk surmises that Mira must have been the most susceptible.
In sickbay, Chapel tells McCoy that Mira's readings appear normal, just as Scotty enters to hear the quite abrasive Mira butt heads with the doctor.
What's that you're doing, nurse?
Recording our responses in this computer.
But why? I haven't had a single response worth noting.
Lieutenant, please.
Well, have I?
Lieutenant, there are 430 people aboard this ship. You're the only one that passed out, and I want to know why.
I want to know why, too. You're the doctor. You tell me. This whole thing is a new experience for me.
This whole thing is a new experience for all of us.
All of you are accustomed to new experiences. It's part of your work. I'm not.
She might have something there, Dr. McCoy. This is her first deep space trip, and you know how that affects people.
Well, if we can get on with this, Scotty, we might make that determination. Now then, tell me, what did you feel before you passed out?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Lieutenant.
Doctor, there is nothing more I can tell you.
Lieutenant, you're being completely uncooperative.
Are you putting that into my record? It's not true.
I'll put the facts into your record if I can get them.
Come on now, Mira. We must help the doctor. Tell us what happened.
Perhaps you can explain to her that any career she hopes for in Starfleet requires discipline and cooperation.
Well, I'm sure that's what the lieutenant wants. She just didn't understand. Did you know, lass?
Oh, this bedside manner like that, Scotty. You're in the wrong business.
When the record of this is forwarded, I'll be sent back, won't I?
Oh, you will not. That's ridiculous. This getting used to space travel, that takes some doing. Not everybody takes to it.
Did you?
Well, me, that's different. I was practically born to it.
So not only does she have to potentially put up with Scotty holding some sort of career threat over her, McCoy's at it now as well.
Yeah, I don't know what he's trying to get out of her.
No. But yeah, you cooperate or else your career will be ended, effectively, we're saying there.
Yeah, if you don't have an answer, make one up, basically.
In any case, she tells him she wants to continue and he assures her she will. She's just getting used to her space legs before she lies back down and hopes that that is all it is, but she doesn't seem too confident, does she?
Yeah, not at all.
We head back up to the bridge.
Yeah, Sulu projects that the lights will pass Memory Alpha soon.
But Chekhov can't give an ETA as the speed is a variable, while Uhura is unable to get in touch with Memory Alpha to warn them.
Spock says it doesn't matter because they have no defences, they're just a library.
Yeah, which seems a ridiculous decision by Starfleet, whoever made that decision, that...
Especially if it's the depository and it's not held anywhere else.
Yeah, your entire knowledge base, that's an obvious target. If people were wanting to, in some way, incapacitate you, and they didn't have the ability, perhaps the firepower, hit your knowledge base, hit your centralised system where everything is held. I mean, it'd be
Yeah, you would think.
They're idiots for not putting up defences around that.
No, I agree, absolutely. At this point, Chekhov reports they're approaching Memory Alpha, and Sulu says they're too late. The storm, or whatever it is, has already arrived.
Well, Uhura is still having no luck, as per usual.
Yeah, she never has any luck.
No. An agitated Kirk asks Spock how many people are on Memory Alpha, but he tells him it varies, as Chekhov lets him know that they are now in orbit.
Yes. Sulu notes that the lights are leaving and there are no remaining life signs on the facility.
And so Kirk decides to take a landing party down to see what has happened, but is clearly annoyed at not being able to communicate with Scotty.
Yes, he's not at his post. He's abandoned his post.
I don't know. This is near enough sackable offences.
I would have thought it's certainly due a court-martial of some kind.
Yeah. He eventually communicates through to tell Kirk that he is in sickbay, but casually admits that he isn't sick himself.
Yeah, he's checking on the lass
What a knob.
before giving Kirk his diagnosis.
Yes, she's going to be fine.
Apparently. Kirk's not interested in what he thinks and asks for McCoy's opinion, who confirms that she's going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, he's rightly riled by this dereliction of duty, you can tell.
Yeah,
He should do something about it.
Kirk's angry about this, but it's his friend, so he's now in a difficult position.
And when they leave, the camera zooms in on Mira's staring eye, which briefly shows the storm and then a vision of a bearded man looking dead beside
I think
a
it's
computer.
Tellarite. Remember the pigmen?
Yeah. That was almost, I was going to say, it predates it, but Columbo-esque. Have you...
Deadline's a hand.
Yeah.
You get another supplemental captain's log.
5725.6, just a recap, I think.
Yep. Storm's leaving Memory Alpha at high speed, unable to make contact with anyone there, and the silence is ominous.
So we head to Memory Alpha. Kirk, Spock, McCoy and Scotty materialise inside the facility and have to put up with it being a little dark as the generator isn't working.
Yeah, McCoy complains about beaming in the dark, but he doesn't like beaming down anywhere at any time.
No. Worse than this, however, Spock reports that the central computer brain is wrecked and perhaps permanently, which would mean a loss of all the stored knowledge. That's what they get for not putting up any sort of defences.
He says it would be a disaster for the galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like these days storing all your data and not using any sort of antivirus or firewall. It's just knowledge. Why would anyone want to harm it?
Yeah. Scotty calls them through then to the next room where we see the body that we previously saw in Mira's eye, together with a couple of others.
Yeah, Spock detects a faint life reading, and McCoy finds an older woman trying to rise.
Yeah, she is making the same sort of gargling noise we heard Mira make on the bridge when she collapsed, and McCoy notes this.
Yeah, but he says there's nothing he can do before Kirk orders Mira to be beamed down immediately as they watch the woman turn different colours in front of them, and then she dies.
Yep, Spock says he's never seen anything quite like this, and McCoy attributes the death to severe brain hemorrhaging due to the distortion of all neural systems and dissolution of the automatic nervous system.
That's very specific, isn't it?
Yeah, he's scanned her. Oh, it's...
Yes. He asks what the others died of, and McCoy reveals each had a different centre of their brain destroyed, and he can give more details when they're back on the Enterprise.
How much more detail does he need?
Yeah,
he's narrowed it into the specific part of the brain that was destroyed.
Yeah. Mira beams down at this point, and Kirk asks her about what she was saying earlier.
Before he can, Scotty gets in there.
Oh, yeah.
Just to prepare her, patronise her a little bit. Oh, the captain's got some questions for you.
It'll be fine. Just do what he says. Yeah. She doesn't know what he is talking about, and when he tells her that it sounded like the technician who died, she runs through and sees the person from her vision.
Yes, this disturbs her, and she then starts to insist that the storm is returning and they need to get back to the Enterprise.
But Spock, wrong as usual, patronises her and says it's going in the opposite direction. What are you talking about, silly woman?
At this point, Sulu calls down to say the storm is returning, and Kirk orders an immediate return to the ship. For once, a good command decision.
It is, yeah. So they beam back up, minus...
Romaine, she's not there.
Yeah. Apparently, we find out in the transporter room that she is suspended in transit, and so Scotty takes over and, to his relief, is able to bring back this supposed lover of his.
We saw it was Kyle operating the transporter. I haven't seen him for a while.
Yeah.
I think he died previously.
Okay, so maybe it's not. Maybe it's his long-lost brother.
His twin.
Sulu is told to get them out of orbit and for Scotty to check the emergency manual monitor for transporter control.
Yeah, find out what the problem with the transporter was. Why did she not beam up with the rest of them?
Yeah.
Up on the bridge, Sulu reports that the phenomenon is changing course, and Kirk asks Spock to explain again why he doesn't think it's a storm for anyone who wasn't listening earlier on when he did the exact thing.
He says it's because there's no known conditions that would support such a phenomenon. Easy for you to say. And then reveals the ship's sensors seem to be under selective attack, and he hopes the elusive entity will now reveal something about itself.
Kirk says that they should use reason, but Spock says, no, it's fine, the sensors are working.
Meanwhile, in engineering, Scotty is listening to Mira as she tells him what she saw, and he's offering some dubious advice.
But I saw those men dead, in their exact positions.
Listen to me. I've told you what strange tricks a space trip can play on your mind. Now that's all it is.
No, Scotty.
Have you ever had visions of the future events before this?
Never.
And if you ask me, nobody ever has. That scene of the future, it's pure bunk. You know that, don't you?
I've always believed it.
And you were perfectly right.
Then what is it, Scotty? What's frightening me ever since that storm hit? I've had such strange thoughts, such feelings of terror.
Space. Space. That's all it is.
Then I don't have to report it?
If you want to spend the rest of the trip in sick bay. But what good would that do? Dr. McCoy can no more cure it than he can a cold.
That's definitely a sackable offence. Advising her not to report what she's
Yeah, you said this was dubious advice. It's terrible advice.
Yeah, I was being
And
generous. Yeah.
Controlling behaviour, yet again.
Very much so. She's feeling these odd, strange things. I think it's being around her, being around him.
Could well be. Also the fact she's been possessed by an alien.
Yeah, that as well.
But she quite clearly here wants to report these premonitions, or whatever you want to call them. And on the one hand, yes, I agree with Scotty, there's no such thing. Obviously garbage. But they're dealing with an unknown phenomenon. She needs to provide the command crew with all the information that she has.
Yeah. Now, I do agree with you in terms of premonitions and all that garbage in real life, but when we look within the environment of where they are with all these different monsters and gas, then it's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
time travel.
It's Scotty's position that's absurd.
Yeah. Back in the bridge, the storm is heading straight for them, and so shields are activated and their course altered, but it continues to follow them.
Yeah, it matches their manoeuvres, and Spock notes increasing magnitudes of energy.
Kirk orders evasive action, but it still remains with them. They try again, and while it is not closing in, it is matching each of their manoeuvres with this increase of energy.
Spock then reports, and this is a massive leap from where we were, 10 distinct life forms contained within the storm, but no further detail. It's a very odd piece of information to have on its own.
It certainly is, yeah. He doesn't know who or what they are, and furthermore doesn't think their shields would be effective. Again, that's just making stuff up.
Yeah, and he suddenly declares very specifically that they're attacking using brainwaves directed against the most compatible brain.
Yeah. So Kirk tells Uhura to set up the universal translator, and then introduces himself and informs this entity that they wish no harm, and ask that they come no closer, as their presence has fatal consequences to their life forms.
That seems to irritate the storm, which comes around ahead of them and begins to accelerate its approach.
Down in engineering.
We've got a little bit here where we go back and forth between engineering and the bridge quite a lot, so we just talk through engineering first and then the bridge.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. So Romaine has another attack, or whatever you want to call it.
Episode.
Calls out to Scotty for help and is distressed as he tries to possessively calm her by grabbing hold of her as tight as he can.
Yeah. Kirk puts on red alert and prepares to fire phasers as Scotty tries to comfort Mira. And a shot is made across a barrier shot, I think this is what
it's shot across the bow. You get across the face of them. Warning shot.
Yeah. It doesn't stop them.
No, it doesn't. So the entity is directly targeted and the phasers are fired, which causes pain for Mira, who collapses as though it hit her directly, although not with the intensity that an actual phaser would cause her.
Yeah. Also, I think it's worth noting that when Kirk made this decision, it got Spock's attention. One of those moments where he thinks, okay, that's an interesting call. I'm not going to argue about it, but...
Yeah, shooting a life form,
Yeah.
Scotty at this point begins to flap. He's in a complete panic and has lost all composure.
Yeah, he's in a panic, and I think he communicates telling them that they're killing Mira.
Based on no evidence.
Nope.
And he's also not qualified to make that assessment.
No, not at all. And so she's ordered to sickbay, and the attack is cancelled by Kirk.
Yeah, he adopts Scotty's position again without any evidence that this firing is harming Romaine. And Spock then also concurs, despite there being no proof whatsoever that firing again would kill her.
Yeah.
All we know is that they fired phasers and it caused her some degree of pain that wasn't causing her to lose consciousness, so not that much pain. It's massive leapery. Spock suggests finding an environment that is deadly to the aliens but safe for Mira, because this is the only solution.
Yeah, what are we talking about here? Yeah,
This has come out of nowhere.
In any case, Kirk speaks with McCoy, who confirms that Mira is well enough to talk and is...
How long? She's only been there 10 seconds.
Exactly. And is told, therefore, to bring her and Scotty, along with all biographical material, to the briefing room.
McCoy might as well have said, whatever, do what you want.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly. In the briefing room, McCoy advises Kirk to go easy on her, as she is led in by, of course, Scotty.
That's his oath fulfilled there, to do no harm. Go easy on her. I'm going to sit over here.
Yeah. She sits and firstly apologises for her earlier tone and claims that she trusts them all implicitly and she wants to help.
Has she been lobotomised? What's happened here?
Well, Scotty is brainwashing her.
Yeah, essentially, she's being programmed.
Yeah. Kirk explains that they want to find out more about why she twice had been affected by the entity, and they're going to try and correlate what they have on both subjects.
Yeah, and she urges him not to worry about hurting her with his actions, and he ignores her.
So after some family background, McCoy is asked to look into her psychological profile and informs them that she had occasional incidents of psychosomatic illness, but no evidence of telepathy.
I should note before that her dad was an engineer, which makes me wonder if she's...
daddy issues.
I was going to say, is there a father complex that draws her towards Scotty as well?
Yeah. So they're quite happily discussing her personal medical records around the table.
Well, I'm wondering if Kirk is thinking back to the episode where No Man Has Gone Before, when we had the ESP issue, and when they crossed that barrier and two of his crew became gods because of their psychological profile. So he's maybe thinking we need to check into this sort of thing.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Obviously, McCoy wasn't on the ship at that time, so he's maybe not as in tune with it. So he notes that there's nothing particularly egregious about these incidents apart from... And this is bizarre. Why would this be on our medical file? It's noted that she is extremely flexible and pliant in responding to new learning situations.
Yeah, and he goes on to reveal that he gave her a recent Steinman analysis and thinks that the results may be very interesting.
It says he did it after the phaser incident. That was only a minute ago.
Yeah.
He did the Steinman analysis with his mind. Yes, she shows altered brainwave patterns, which should be impossible, so everyone is stunned.
Yeah, but I think the case is proven by use of the monitor.
He shows a graph, which actually is more surprising to Spock than the pronouncement.
Why is that?
Well, Spock asks him to confirm there's no telepathy involved, and he asks if it's definitely the right slide. You're not showing me the wrong thing here. And when McCoy confirms that, Spock points out that it's identical to one of his slides.
Ah. And which one?
The impulse tracking of the alien life units. So he produces this slide and the computer confirms, yes, these are the same.
Yeah, apparently the alien thoughts and hers are becoming one.
Well, they're following the same pattern anyway. At this point, Sulu gets in touch.
The aliens are no longer keeping their distance.
Yes, Kirk wants to be kept informed.
Back to the briefing room. At this point, Scotty admits that Mira had warned him about these premonitions.
Mira has tried to tell me all along that she was seeing things in advance.
Why didn't you report it?
You don't report space sickness, that's all I thought it was.
What did she see?
First attack on the ship. The attack on Memory Alpha. And the time we nearly lost her.
Those were all acts carried out by our attacker.
And...
Yes, Scotty. What else?
I thought for a moment there was something else, but I guess I was wrong.
Was he wrong, Lieutenant?
Yes, there was one other time.
What did you see?
I saw Scotty.
Where?
I don't know.
What was he doing?
He was dying. Now I understand what's been happening. I've been seeing through another mind. I've been flooded with thoughts not my own, that control me. Oh, Scotty, Scotty, I'd rather die than hurt you. I'd rather die.
What's all this talk of dying? They've called a turn on us 3 out of 4 times. Well, that's a better average than anybody deserves. It's our turn now. We'll fight them. So let's not hear anything more about dying.
Definitely a sackable offence. Scotty has now admitted to advising her badly.
And also insisted there on speaking for her when it was really her question to answer.
Yeah, she's
not getting like any input.
Really possessive. I mean, he's basically doing all this because he wants to keep having it away with her. It's like he's
he wants her
girlfriend
around and not
Yeah.
in sick bay.
So lie about it so that we can just do what we're doing. This is the only time I've ever had the opportunity of regular.
If you ask me, she's far too concerned about these aliens taking over her mind and not concerned enough about Scotty taking over her mind,
Yeah.
warping her thoughts.
I'd be suspicious that Scotty hasn't been drugging me in some way to make me have these sort of hallucinations.
There's certainly evidence in her behaviour, sort of dulled down responses and stuff like that.
Yeah. Sulu communicates through to tell Kirk bluntly that evasion tactics have been useless, and Spock admits that the entity will get through their shields.
Yes, and Kirk warns Mira that they will arrive soon and she needs to let them try to function through her. What does that mean?
I don't know. Well, yeah. Is he saying they're going to do this again? Relax. Let's see if we can understand them through yourself. Yeah. I think he also ordered Warp 8 out of there.
Yeah, and at some point he asks Sickbay to prepare anti-grav test units.
Yeah, I'm sure. Up in the bridge, a worried Sulu puts out a warning that the alien force has penetrated the ship, and we do indeed see the lights moving along the corridors.
Everybody is urged to take defensive action.
Down in is it a lab or engineering?
I think it's the medical lab. I think McCoy's in control here.
Yeah. In any case, Mira is huckled in where the gravity chamber is and is immediately engulfed in the lights.
We see her starting to change colours like the woman who was about to die on Memory Alpha.
Yeah, she tells Scotty to stay away before the lights penetrate her. She slumps against the wall and starts speaking in the croak with her face emitting light.
Scotty and Kirk urge her to keep control, and she starts chanting to herself before they hear the voice of the Zetarians coming through her.
Yeah, it's a deep voice which emits from her, claiming that she cannot stop them and they cannot prevent it. Spock insists that they must act now while Mira still has some of her identity and they will be able to communicate via her body. So Kirk introduces himself and then waits for a response.
Yes, we understand you. We have searched for a millennium for one through whom we can see and speak and hear and live out our lives.
Who are you?
We are from Zetar.
That is one of the planets where all humanoid life was destroyed.
You can't be from Zetar. All life was destroyed there long ago.
Yes, all corporeal life was destroyed.
Then what are you?
The desires, the hopes, the mind, and the will of the last 100 of Zetar. The force of our life could not be wiped out.
All things die.
At the proper time. Our planet was dying. We were determined to live on. At the peak of our plans to go, a sudden final disaster struck us down. But the force of our lives survived. At last we have found someone through whom we can live it out.
The body of the one you inhabit has its own life to lead.
She will accept ours.
She will not. She is fighting for her own identity.
Her mind will accept our thoughts. Our lives will be fulfilled.
Will she learn the way the people on Memory Alpha learned?
We did not wish to kill.
But you did kill.
No. Resisting us killed those people. We did not kill them.
The price of your survival is too high.
We only want the girl.
You can't have her. You're entitled to your own life, but not another's.
At this point, Mira reverts to her own voice and claims that she wants to live out her own life, and McCoy states that her life readings are matching the Zetarians she's losing.
Spock says that the people of Zetar just need to accept that they're dead now, but they respond with threats, which Spock judges must be valid.
Kirk says they will be forced to accept it, and the voice states that they will all die, as Spock reiterates the importance of completing the plan.
Yes, so Scotty at this point makes a bizarre statement that Mira will not kill me, as if she's in control of what's going on, as he tries to bundle her into a chamber.
I've noted here it'd be really funny if she did.
I would love it.
He lifts her up, places her in the chamber, but then is immediately zapped backwards to near unconsciousness, but notes with half a smile that he told him she wouldn't kill him.
Oh, that's hilarious. So she's now locked in this unit, which they begin to pressurise as McCoy warns them it may harm her.
Where did they get this from, that just pressure can really...
Yeah, they made this up.
Yeah, they have, haven't they? There's been no evidence that this would work.
Just trying to see.
Yeah.
Surely there's a lot more pressure out in space, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean,
pressurised?
you'd be well putting her in a sauna and saying, yeah, we just need to turn the heat up, that will squeeze out the
steam room.
Yeah.
The steam room needs more humidity. Yes. So eventually, after much tension...
Well, they watch. We can see them all watching through. There's obviously viewing windows.
Yeah, and we get some tense music playing.
She bobs about.
Yeah, and ultimately the lights do leave her and then fizzle out as McCoy declares success and tells Spock to gradually reduce the pressure.
But why could they not just come back? They've just
No, they've been extinguished completely.
How would you know that? How can you
They
be
went
so
out.
sure?
The lights went out.
All right. They didn't just leave the body?
They did, and then they went out.
I still wouldn't be 100% confident that was the end of it.
Well, it is.
Apparently.
So, Scotty's very excited. He tells Mira that they're gone and she smiles. Spock then gets in on the whole enabling Scotty thing.
I wonder, so I'm just going to ask a question here. I wonder what she preferred. I reckon she would have been, she would have preferred having the alien entity in her rather than Scotty.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I say, Spock gets in on the enabling by saying that, the slow decompression or depressurization may test Scotty's patience, but Scotty's in a bit of a rapture at this stage.
Scotty will do what he's told. Yeah. His patience is neither here nor there.
Yeah, he only has eyes for Mira at this point, though, telling her that they have all the time in the world. Ironically, they're about to drop her off at her next job.
Scotty really is the type, isn't he, that abusive partner where if he saw, like, if he walked onto the bridge and he saw her, like, laughing and joking with Sulu, for example, or Chekhov, back in their quarters, he would give her a black eye and a smack.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Like, what are you looking at? You flip.
I saw you talking to him.
Yeah. Are you having an affair? Are you cheating on me with Sulu? No, I'm not. Bang. Makeup required in the morning. What's the matter with your face, Mira? Nothing.
Walked into a turbo lift.
Yeah. I fell. It was my own fault.
Yeah, that's exactly how it would go. He's that exact sort of person.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate.
Then he apologized. I'm really sorry, lass.
I think it's an unfortunate stereotype in some TV and movies that you have Scottish characters portrayed in this way.
Yeah.
Although maybe not.
Do you? Or do you?
I think there's quite a lot of violence. Certainly you see it in...
if they're set in Scotland.
Not just there's a guy in EastEnders, the violent, abusive, wife-beating guy who then showed up in Chernobyl. He was good in that.
Right, okay.
Anyway, we'll move on.
We will.
In McCoy's office, McCoy reports to Kirk that Mira put up a good fight despite her noted tendency to pliance.
Yeah.
And Spock concurs and predicts a boost to her entire ego structure. Hopefully will be enough to let her see through Scotty and dump him.
Yeah, I don't need you.
Yeah. Kirk asks, this bit made me feel a bit nauseous, to be honest.
This bit, okay.
Whether Scotty's support aided her survival. Spock's really dubious and says it's possible. But McCoy says, definitely a fact. It's such an enabler.
Yes.
They all agree she needs no further treatment, so they call Scotty to ask how she is. Why not call her?
Yeah, because he's in control.
Yeah, we get the response that we heard at the start of the podcast.
What was that Mira is beautiful, yeah?
Yeah, not even a helpful response.
And so Kirk tells Sulu to head to Memory Alpha, where Mira will have a lot of work to do. He's getting her off the ship.
Yeah, presumably her work's going to start by clearing away the dead bodies.
So yeah. But what does Scotty do now? So he apparently is absolutely lovesick. So she's now been dumped to Memory Alpha and they're away again.
Yeah. And in 6 months' time, he's got to go on the sex tour where he drops McCoy off at that first planet.
Yeah.
He comes round here to drop Scotty at Memory Alpha. Spock's come back to Vulcan again for his next Ponfar. And Kirk will just pick up whoever he meets along the way.
Scotty's got to be really agitated at first and annoyed, jealous. He'll be texting her, he'll be communicating with her every night.
And if she doesn't reply within 5 minutes,
where are you?
What's wrong? What's the problem? Who are you seeing?
Oh yeah,
Who else is there?
Oh, let me tell you about this. She'll talk about her day. Oh yeah, I was working with John, a really good reason.
Who's John?
What is he? What are you doing with John? Yeah, really insecure and
it's disturbing behaviour.
Yeah, she needs to end it with him right now for her own sake. Scotty pacing up and down the Enterprise like Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
The episode ends with Kirk noting his astonishment that Spock, McCoy and Scotty have all agreed on something, and they all have a laugh and Mira continues to be a secondary figure in her own story. That's it.
Yeah.
Were you happy with that resolution?
Yeah, it's alright.
How surprised were you that the entire final scene was spent discussing Mira and her future, and she wasn't even in it, let alone getting to say anything?
Not very surprised, to be fair, after how the episode got to that position in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't really give her much agency or...
Didn't give her any agency, really.
I mean, okay, let's look at the positives. She was a specialist, so they brought her down as as someone with expertise. And if you were trying to be fair, she didn't have much to do because a lot of the time she was being possessed, so she wasn't in control of herself.
And she did ultimately decide to carry on with her duty and not ask to be reassigned to the Enterprise or
yes, but I think she knows. After all this, she's thinking, I need to get out of here.
Yeah,
it was fine for a week or two.
Me and these 5 dead people on Memory Alpha. That's what I prefer,
rather than
having to work with Scotty for one more minute.
Yeah. But I said I don't know how the relationship's going to pan out, and Scotty really does need to put on some sort of leave. He needs to go and get some sort of counselling.
Yeah, I think a huge part of the problem with him is the other senior staff failing to recognise there is an issue with the way he treats women.
Yeah,
they think he's harmless, despite the fact he's got a record of possessiveness, of violence, of controlling behaviour.
Yeah, they pander to him, and Kirk is not doing his job, and he's not doing Scotty himself any favours. But he's clearly got some sort of psychological mental illness and he's treated.
McCoy reported that he hates women.
Yeah,
it's on record.
Yeah.
It wasn't cured by him murdering a couple.
No. Yeah, he needs taken off the Enterprise and just jailed. Yeah, probably or whatever. Yeah. It doesn't. Maybe he has his space legs that he claims he was born to. Yeah, maybe physically he took to space travel, but I think psychologically, I'm not sure. Given the benefit of the doubt, perhaps this whole attitude is because he's been stranded, as it were, or isolated up in this on this starship without regular interactions with the opposite. Sex. Yeah, but not. Yeah, but he's not the opportunity really to partner up with them. They're not interested. Yeah, so maybe that's getting to him.
He's literally a space incel.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what he is. Yeah,
who thinks it's all so unfair.
Yes. And as we know, unfortunately, when they snap, they snap.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be storming the bridge with encouragement from the previous captain.
Yep.
Some trivia?
Sure.
Okay, originally aired on the 31st of January 1969, directed by Herb Kenwith. This was his only Star Trek episode, but he was a prolific TV director. He worked on shows like The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Different Strokes, and The Partridge Family. He was a long-term friend of Mae West and directed many of her theatre shows. And
that's good, yeah.
Yeah, he died in 2008 when he was 90.
Sounds like he had a good life.
Yeah. The episode was written by Shari Lewis and her husband, Jeremy Tarcher. She's best known, obviously, for her work in children's television and her association with the character Lamb Chop. Although she also appeared as an actor in shows like The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Love American Style. This was her only work for Star Trek, and she died in 1998 when she was 65.
Ah, pretty young.
Yeah. Jan Schutten played Mira Romaine. Schutan? Jan Schutan, does it rhyme? That's bad. Don't want rhyming names.
No.
This was her only Star Trek role. She also appeared on shows like Love American Style, Quincy M.E. and Charlie's Angels. She's the closest we have to a Columbo connection this week.
I was hoping you'd bring this up. Go for it.
Because she was married to a guy called David Levinson for 39 years.
But no, as I'd assumed. Yeah, I mean, I thought surely he was related in some way to Richard Levinson.
Yes, but no. So this guy, David Levinson, that she was married to, was no relation to the Columbo creator, but was in his own right a producer on Mrs. Columbo for 4 episodes.
I mean, what are the chances that another Levinson was involved in a Columbo episode and not being related?
Oh, it's not really a Columbo episode.
Well, it's a Mrs. Columbo.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a slim chance and we're going to take it as our connection.
Oh, well, without a doubt, yeah. We'll take anything we can get.
She's now 88 years old. As you will have noted, the voice of the Zetarians was Barbara Babcock. This was the last of her 6 appearances. Mostly vocal on the show. You can hear more about her back on the podcast for the Square of Gothos, which was another voice role that she had back in season 1. In the absence of any further guest stars and with episodes rapidly running out, let's look at another regular. DeForest Kelly played Leonard McCoy. He appeared in, I think, 74 of the 79. I couldn't name the ones he wasn't in. Where No Man Has Gone Before, a couple others at the start. He also briefly portrayed a salt monster in the first episode when it took McCoy's form in The Man Trap. Before being cast in Star Trek, he featured in a number of westerns, including The Deputy, Stagecoach West, and Have Gun Will Travel, which gave inspiration for a Sledgehammer title, I think.
Yep.
He went on to appear in shows like Ironside, The Littlest Hobo, and the first episode of Star Trek The Next Generation.
Did he?
He played McCoy in that, obviously. He also played McCoy in the 6 original series motion pictures, and he was the first of the main cast to pass away, dying from stomach cancer in 1999 when he was 79 years old.
Seems like a good chap.
I think he was very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good friends with William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy. Other trivia. So, the overhead shot, like I told you, was actually filmed for season 1, but not used, and there's different folk on the bridge.
Right, I didn't notice that. Okay.
Shari Lewis, who wrote the episode, wanted to play Mira Romaine herself, wrote the role for herself, and wasn't cast. She's a bit unfortunate. Should get paid for the episode.
Yeah, it's interesting why they would use that shot. I mean, there's no need for it, wasn't?
No, they just liked it. I guess the director saw it, or someone saw it and thought, we'll stick that in.
Okay.
I mentioned during the episode Where No Man Has Gone Before because there are certain plot similarities, and that's reinforced, of course, by extensive use of the score from that episode in this one.
Right.
This is the final appearance of the Andorians and the Tellarites. You might have missed them, they were dead on Memory Alpha.
No, I did.
There's
see
one of
them,
each,
yeah.
I think. We don't see them again in this series. In terms of international titles, in Germany this was Strahlen Greifen an, which means rays are attacking.
Okay.
While in Japan, they went for Oromitsu Wakusei Zeta no Kogeki, which translates as the attack from Zetar, the planet of extinction. Next week, it is the 19th episode of Season 3, Requiem for Methuselah. It features a battle with a deadly illness.
Yet again.
I've had that before, yeah. Hopefully it's a totally unique and interesting approach.
I'm sure. Well, we've done the socials.
We have, so we'll see folk next time.
Cheerio.
Bye.